Their Eyes Were Watching God review. Hey guys, so today I'll be reviewing Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Hurston. So if you haven't read the book, it basically follows the life of a girl named Janie Crawford, a girl of mixed black and white heritage, and her journey to find true love and happiness. So I had doubts about the book from the beginning. I thought it was going to be just another book that you have to read in English class, but I actually really enjoyed it. Zora Hurston really captured the racial and gender inequality in the South, as well as the cultural revolution during the post-slavery years. While there were parts I had trouble understanding, which I will further explain in my review, the book overall was a good read. So for the plot, the story almost seemed ahead of its time, because although it was written during the African American Cultural Revolution, it didn't revolve around race as much, and focused more on Janie and her struggle to find love and happiness. While there were a lot of twists and turns that kept me interested, the story was also really dull at times. For example, when Janie first got married to Logan, I felt like the story really slowed down, and sometimes the southern dialect was hard to read and even harder to understand. Another thing I really liked about the book is that it challenges traditional notions of who should love whom and how people should love each other. So when this book was written, women were really obedient towards their husbands and followed whatever they said, and Janie in the story really defies that. I like that racism was more of a background theme than a major one. It allowed for the novel to explore other themes while still having race play a role in them, because love and control actually dictated most of the decisions. Mainly, the novel focused on Janie's love life, but it also developed other issues such as gender roles and challenging traditions. So moving on to characters, I want to talk about Nanny first, because their old-fashioned ideology really helped with the development of the story, because I started getting a sense of what people were like during those days. Through her words, I realized how narrow-minded everyone was, and it actually reminded me of my own grandma. Conflicts between Janie and Nanny really developed the story by giving the reader an idea of what Janie is like. As a teenager, I felt a connection between Janie and I, because I can relate to her rebellious attitude. So moving on to Jodie, who was originally a good character, but ends up being an antagonist due to feelings of inferiority and jealousy. I like the fact that Janie didn't immediately find her soulmate, because it would have prevented her from finding out who she is as a person. So moving on to tea cake, which I'm not sure why Hurston named it that, because Google defines it as a light yeast-raised sweet bun with dried fruit, typically served toasted and buttered. But besides that, he was the only person that Janie ever had a true connection with. But on the other hand, I disliked how slow-paced the story got after their meeting. Okay, so here's a quote. All you got to do is mind me. How come you can't do like I tell you? You sure loves to tell me what to do, but I can't tell you nothing, I see. That's 'cause you need telling, he rejoined hotly. It would be pitiful if I didn't. Somebody got to think for women and children and chickens and cows. I God, they sure don't think none for themselves. Although there were a lot of characters in the story, the interaction between Janie and Jodie I felt like was the most important. Because that is where, as a reader, I felt like I knew Janie a lot better. Her relationship with Jodie showed me what type of person she is, and the inner conflict she's dealing with. What I mean by this is that is when I started to realize that she's not like every other woman in the story. She wants more in life, and she certainly deserves more as well. She's willing to stand up for what she believes in. Right, so now I have this great quote I'll read for you guys. She was stretched on her back beneath the pear tree, soaking in the alto chant of the visiting bees, the gold of the sun, and the panting breath of the breeze when the inaudible voice of it all came to her. She saw a dust-bearing bee sink into the sanctum of a bloom. The thousand sister calyxes arched to meet the love embrace and the ecstatic shiver of the tree, from root to tiniest branch, creaming in every blossom and frothing with delight. So this was a marriage. She had been summoned to behold a revelation. Then Janie felt a pain remorseless sweet that left her limp and languid. So this really shows Janie's first experience of the feeling of love and how she interprets it. While she is a little naive with the whole bee and the flower thing, it gives the reader a sense of what Janie is like and what she really longs for in life. So this novel made me think of my own life and what I want out of it. Do I just follow what everyone else is doing, or do I search for something more meaningful? Although Janie was alone in the end, her experience and journey of self-actualization was worth more than any materialistic thing that Logan Killicks could have ever given her. I think the overall message of the novel was that only through great perseverance and struggle can you truly find the meaning of your life. To conclude, I give this novel a thumbs up, not only for the plot, but Hurston's ability to really personify the characters, which make this novel a timeless masterpiece. Definitely a good read.